Hi, everyone. Welcome to Clutch Entertainment today. And today we'll be talking about my top 10 tips to persevere in whatever you do and to never give up. A lot of us have shortcomings in our lives and things that we go through, and we just go through these things and we just sometimes want to give up and we want to just give in, and that's not the way to do things. It's the thing that, has to make us stronger. We have to persevere, and if we fail, we fail. There's a lot of different things that go into, persevering and being successful and to getting to where you need to be in life. It could take days, could take months, could take years, it could take, decades. It just depends on what your experience is and where you're going with everything. So I'd like to talk about these 10 things. Personally, like for myself, like I have a really big mantra with myself where I don't want to give up on whatever I do. And even if I fail, and I always want to, come back to it later and finish it off. Like, it's not so much that I'm being perfectionist, it's more so of I want to be successful in the end. And I know that, everything's not always guaranteed, and that plays a part in being successful. You just have to keep pushing at it until you get to it. So I have some tips here that I'm going to go over, and if you or have any questions at the end, you can just leave them in the comments below, but let's get right into it. So my first tip I would say is find meaning in what you do for an end goal. So what I would say is set yourself a goal and tell yourself, like, I'm going to get to this point, I'm going to go to there, and I'm going to try and try and try until I get there. And tell yourself that this goal is something that is obtainable, because if you tell yourself it's not obtainable or if it's impossible, then it's not going to work. So for example, if I don't like hot weather, for example, which I don't, but if I don't like hot weather and I see like it's going to be super hot the next couple days, which it's going to be, and I'm just like, I just want to skip over this. Well, this is what you should say to yourself. You should say, I want to get to that end goal where it's getting cooler outside. And if you say that, then you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And you can just go through the days and be better with yourself and feel better. You may feel, bad overall because you're like, I don't like this hot weather. I don't want to go outside, but it'll help motivate you to reach that point, because you're like, I'm looking forward to this point. And that'll give you that motivation that you need to persevere. My second thing would be like bounce ideas off someone like that, may have gone through it, or someone because a lot of people have experiences that we don't have, and we can always look to other people to, alleviate those experiences and give us those experiences that we need. Because, when we're young, we're always looking for everyone older than us to tell us it's going to be okay. We need a lot of affirmation and a lot of trust and a lot of things, in our lives that we need. But as we get older, we have more and more pride, I would say. And having that pride makes you more likely that you're going to just sit there and you're not going to, want anybody's help. And you think that you can handle all yourself and you can do it. And, and you get this tension with yourself where you're just like I should give up because I'm not good enough and I don't need help and blah, blah, blah. So you're like, you turn away from people. That's probably the worst thing you can do. You should turn to people when you're in need. A lot of us don't want to feel that vulnerability. Even myself, sometimes I feel that way, but it's not the right thing to do, because it makes you internalize what's going on, and you end up fighting with yourself, and fighting with yourself is not going to go anywhere. So overall, I would say, get somebody you can trust, get someone who's been through it, and that'll help you get to that next step of persevering. The third tip I have is read up or watch videos on it. Like, for example, you're doing this, you're reading up and watching the video here, and that way you'll get some insight of other people and how they go through things and some examples of what to do. And it gives you a whole spectrum of different ideas to follow also, along with like talking to other people, like I said, or that have gone through it. It brings in all kinds of extra ideas, and it gives you ideas of what works for you and what doesn't. And you could try those things, and that'll really help you get to the next level, and it'll really help you to, never give up and be perseverant. So I would say the fourth thing would be realize this is the present and not forever. So if you're trying to get through something and you're not giving up, and you're like, I'm gonna make it through, I'm gonna do this, realize that, you're struggling, but it's not gonna stay like this forever. Even if things could be bad for, you know, days, hours, months, weeks, years, it's never forever. It's just like the weathers and the seasons change. It's just like the months change, just like you wake up every day and you don't feel the same. You get different feelings throughout the day and different emotions that you have and different experiences with other people. So everything's different every day. And don't just think because one day it's this, it's going to be the next day. Because that's not true. It's not going to be the next day. It's may seem like it's similar, but it's not the same, if that makes sense. So I would say the next thing is to be patient with yourself and realize, it's okay to be like stressed about it. It's okay to be like impatient with yourself. It's okay to feel those feelings, but let yourself feel those feelings. Sitting with yourself and letting yourself feel those feelings is what's important. I myself struggle with this sometimes myself, where I'm like, I just want to get through this. I want this to be over with, or I don't want to be a part of this or this struggle, and we just want to skip over it. And skipping in our minds is just telling us like, I want to run away. I want to get out of this. I don't want to face it. That's the way that will make you feel more scared, fearful, and pretty much anything that's, negative. Like you'll feel more negativity. But if you face something, just like a knight that faces the dragon for his kingdom, like if he backs away, dragon's going to fry everyone. He's not going to have a chance. But if he fights the dragon, he may die and persevere, but he'll inspire others to fight and take his place, So, overall, like perseverance is something that's really important too within all this. Like that's what the main point I'm talking about. But telling yourself, being patient with yourself and holding yourself accountable for I can do this, giving yourself a mantra and making yourself, face it instead of running away is important. I would say the sixth tip I have is to realize shortcomings along the way. There's going to be failures. There's going to be sufferings. There's going to be times when you just, can't make it through or you can't go all the way. But realize in the end, you will eventually. It just takes time. It just takes, motivation, like I was going over the other stuff. Using all the other tips too, you can put all those other together and, form a plan. And forming a plan within realizing that you'll have shortcomings is a big thing. And it gives you that peace of mind that, I'm going to fail, but this time I'll do better, So I would say, realizing shortcomings is important. And then I would say the next thing is use your experiences in the past and look at those. So you may have gone through something similar or something that's along the same lines of what you're going through. And look at those things and tell yourself, like, I've done this before. Or it could be something similar, like a similar situation. Like, for example, two different sports. So say you used to play soccer, for example, and you got nervous every day before every game. And every time before a game, you just were like so nervous, you're shaking, you weren't ready to play. And then when you got there, you played. And then you play another sport like baseball, for example. And you're like, man, I'm starting a new sport, baseball. And I used to get all nervous with soccer, and you get nervous with baseball. You could just tell yourself, look, I made it through soccer before. I can make it through baseball and get through it. And you could see what you need to do. And, if you fail, like I said before, if you fail and realize the shortcoming with that, just realize, next time you try and do it again, realize you'll make it to that next point of learning how to do it. And you'll be like, I can do it. I can make it through. I would say number 8 would be like, know that you are not alone. There's a lot of people that go through the same things as you. It's really hard to see like I was saying before, with like being prideful and such, like you look at yourself and you say, I feel like I'm the only one going through this. Like I'm very narrow-minded towards it, and it makes me want to like just, take care of it myself, like I was talking about before. And I don't need anybody else. Like I just got to get through this. I got to get through this. I would say that would probably be a bad approach, like I'm saying before. Being by yourself and just saying, I can just do this by myself. I don't need anyone else. It's just like when, when someone, like a woman, for example, says, I don't need a man in my life. And they say, I don't need a man because they have a lot of pride and they think I can do everything. Or a man that says, I don't need a woman in my life because they're just going to, drag me down, like slow me down. Like that's a prideful attitude, and that's not very productive, and that's not going to help you out at all. Because as far as that goes, men and women need each other. That's just an example, but you shouldn't discount other people because you think you can handle it. That's my point. I would say number 9 would be, along with number 2 earlier, how I talked about find someone that may have gone through it and stuff. Find someone who can empathize with you or feel what you're feeling. If you can get that, if you can get someone to talk about how they felt or how they experienced it, it'll really help you out in the long run, because you'll be also looking out for their feelings and being like, wow, you experienced this, you got through this, like what did you do, like what put you through that? So I've asked, I have a spiritual director, a priest, that I ask sometimes with things like, how'd you even make it through that, or how'd you go through that and make it through, and then they just he describes his experience. Like I've asked him, how do you get through a heart surgery, for example, when he had a heart surgery. And he was just like, well, I just, trusted in God and went in there and I did it. There's a lot of different fruits of knowledge that you can get from other people. And, having someone who's been through it really helps in the end. So I would say my last thing, the most important thing I would say is trusting in God and praying about what your issue is. So if you're having an issue to persevere and you're just struggling with the motivation with everything, and you're struggling with all the other tips that I gave, I would say fall back, pray, and trust in God. And that's probably the hardest one to do, because we all struggle with that, I can handle it myself pride that I've been talking about the whole time. But I would say that would probably be the most important thing to do and most important thing to focus on. Focus on God, focus on what you're thankful for in your life, and if you can get to that point, then you can say, I can get through this. I can persevere. I can make it to the end. The end goal is not unobtainable. You can tell yourself those things because you trust it, because you prayed and because you got the help you needed from God. So overall, I talked about a number of things that will help you out. And these are 10 things that, anybody can use to help themselves persevere and get to the next level in their lives. So if you have any additional questions or if you have any tips, just reach out in the comment section below and like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching Clutch Entertainment today, and have a great day. Bye.